Hello, it's time for another episode of Discipleship Today. My name is Bob Benson. I pastor Christ Lutheran Church at 3012 Route 430 in Bemis Point, New York. We've been going through the book of John, and as we've been walking through the book of John, we're seeing the special relationship that John seemed to have with Jesus Christ. Matter of fact, John refers to himself many times in the gospel as the beloved disciple. And it's because of that special relationship that we want to look at the book of John and discipleship text. As we look at this today, the first thing I'd like to say is, who is it in your life that has discipled you, who has poured into your life in a way that they lead you along spiritually? I would encourage you at this point, sometime in the next couple of days, to just call up your discipler or your disciplers and either talk to them or text them or just thank them for investing in you. I know that I have a list of a lot of people over the years that have poured into my life, and it's just good every once in a while to remind them that you realize that they poured into you. And in that vein, you should be pouring into others. You could be that encourager, that discipler, that encourages other people to grow in their faith and exercise that faith out. And that's the thing. It's not, we've become this place in modern Christianity where salvation is about me. And it's not. Salvation is about the glory of the Lord. He will get glory in it somehow. But we become very selfish, thinking that Jesus saved us for our sake. And he didn't. He saved us for the kingdom's sake. And we need to pour back into that kingdom. We've been going through the book of John. We've been in John chapter 19. And I stopped at verse 16, or verse 11. I'd like to continue in that section of Scripture from verses 12 through verse 16 today. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read it from the ESV, and then we're going to go back and talk about it a little bit. From then on, Pilate sought to release Jesus. But the Jews cried out, "If you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar." So when Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out, sat down on the judgment seat in the place called the Stone Pavement, and in Aramaic, Gabbath. Now it was the day of preparation of the Passover. It was about the 6th hour. He said to the Jews, "Behold your king." They cried out, "Away with him, and away with him, crucify him." Pilate said to them, "Shall I crucify your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king but Caesar." So he delivered them over to be crucified. Here in this section of Scripture, we get a sense of the drama that's building here. Jesus has been taken into Pilate. He's been flogged. He's been ridiculed. He's been made fun of. And then Pilate brings him out and says, "I find no guilt in this man." And this is the switch in verse 12. From then on, he tried to find a way to release Jesus. He was looking at the law. He was examining things. He didn't want anything to do with the death of this Jesus. And then the Jews say this to him, "If you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend." Pilate was already in a pretty precarious place. It was not a good political position for him to be in. Things weren't exactly going perfectly in Israel. And I think it was just one more thing that put the nail in the coffin to say that Pilate was in trouble here. He brought him out on the stone pavement, and it says, he said to the Jews, "Behold your king." They cried out, "Away with him and crucify him." "Shall I crucify your king?" And that's when they say, "We have no king but Caesar." They hated Caesar's guts. They did not want Caesar as their king. It seemed like this would have been a perfect opportunity to declare their independence, write out their Declaration of Independence, and send it to Caesar. Hey, we've got a new king, which is what would happen to them by 70 AD. There was another insurrection, and the religious establishment backed that resurrection, and that's what caused the Romans to come in and completely destroy Jerusalem. Matter of fact, they wouldn't leave one stone upon another, and which Jesus had said that they would. He wouldn't leave one stone on another. And I think it's interesting how that was accomplished. They burned the temple, and because the temple was full of gold, the gold melted and ran down between the stones. They actually pried the stones apart to get the gold out from them. And in that way, it fulfilled that scripture that no stone one was left on another. But so he delivered him over to be crucified. Pilate was afraid because of the precarious position that he had in Israel with the Roman government. He knew that things could tip very easily. So he caved to the peer pressure, the pressure that was coming on him. And that's what we have to remember today. There's a lot of pressures exerted on us from the outside. And let's not cave to those outside pressures. Let's do what God's called us to do. He's given us a royal decree that he expects us to carry out. And that's for us to flourish and have life and have it abundantly and have a witness as we go about our lives. So for Discipleship Today, my name is Pastor Bob Benson. I just want to thank you for taking the time and watching today.